Who do you think you are? We've all heard this saying before, but usually it's used as an insult, right? But how I think of it is, who actually are you? Are you defined by your friends, your job, your hobbies, what you do, what you don't do, where you live, where you're from, how you talk, your opinions, your political views, your family? These are only some of the things people define us by, but these can't be the things that make us who we are. We're very complex beings, and identity is one of the most difficult and confusing parts of us as a species. Think about this. Are you the same person you think you are? Do other people affect who you are? Are you always the same person? From the time when you're just sperm in the egg of your mother, everything you are is mimicked from your parents, your grandparents, all your ancestors. What you look like, what diseases you're prone to, everything you are is the billions of generations before you at that moment. When you're born, that is when you start becoming your own person. Your base is your family. So what does family mean to you? Is it a man and a woman who are the same age and have the same and are the same race and have the same amount of money and have biological children together? Would you say a single mother and her child wouldn't be a complete family? What about adopted children? What about two orphans who grew up together? Family. Noun. A group consisting of parents and children living together in a household. 2. All the descendants of a common ancestor. Now, number 1 seems to be very outdated. Just parents and children? What about those two orphans I mentioned? Are they not family? And then it says living together in a household. Well, this is the most inaccurate part of the definition, because even the most stereotypical family has children who move out of the house at some point. Are they suddenly not family anymore? What about homeless people? Do they not have families? And I know many families who don't live together. Then, number 2 is right and wrong. Number 2 is true in a biological sense. If you don't think of family as a sentimental thing, then yes, this is what family is. Family is the thing that makes you who you are when you're in that egg. But family means so much more, because psychologically, everyone needs someone to take care of them as a child. Even as a child. And this is supposed to be the role of a parent, but many people don't have this. Someone they can trust, someone that is there for them. Most people who don't have this are in a bad mental state, and most die before the age of 30. This is because if you don't have someone who has your back, then you have to have your own back. And then you can never let your guard down, and you're always in attack mode. To me, family means two things that sometimes merge and sometimes don't. There's your biological family, the people you see in your face when you look in the mirror, and then there's your real family, who take care of you and you take care of them. It's a human necessity to belong to a family. All my life, I've been making characters and drawing their family trees. It's an odd passion, I guess, but family is a characteristic everybody has, and it affects all of us. Sometimes I go as far as making 10 generations for a character. From doing this, I realized it got convoluted, and everyone in the world my family lived in ended up being related somehow. The same goes for us. Though our world is much bigger and much more convoluted, if you go far back enough, all of us are related somehow. The closest common ancestor to all human beings only lived a few thousand years ago. This means we're all 120th cousins. What if someone in your daily life is closely related to you? Will your great-grandchildren remember your name? The science that refers to all this family stuff is called genealogy. And someone who uses this science is called a genealogist. So a genealogist is someone who uses genealogy, and genealogy is a line of descent traced continuously from an ancestor. Basically, family and history merged. Genealogy is a pretty dry word for the chain that connects each of us to the past. We are all made up of our ancestors' lives. If your great-great-grandmother didn't survive that tsunami, you wouldn't be here today. On my mom's side, I'm from Utah, and most of my family is Mormon. In Mormonism, they keep your family documents in the church. And so my ancestry has always been available to me. I would spend hours flipping through my ancestors' lives. I know 6 generations of my family by heart, and I know my 5th cousins as well as my 1st. My family lives close together. We have unique traditions and family reunions, and this is probably one of the reasons I'm so interested in family. Though I know so much of my mother's side, I know absolutely zero nothing nada of my father's side. The reason I chose the subject of where and who me and other people come from is not because of the family I do know, but because of the family I don't know. You don't develop curiosity from what you know. It's the unknown that keeps you up at night. I've never known or met my father, and this is the reason and the curiosity that brought me to my project. Now, most people feel bad for me at this point. Well, don't. Seriously, there's no need for it. All I am is curious of what makes me me, genetically at least. Of course, someone I have never met does not affect who I am, even if they are my biological father. But someone I have never met may affect where I'm from. They may be where I get my height, my hair, my fingers, my toes. So because of this curiosity and this need to know and belong, I decided I would research my father's side and 3 other people's ancestry. Collecting documents is the longest step of researching ancestry. You already have to have a lot of information just to get started. I didn't realize this before, and it proved to be very difficult to research ancestry. So I had to shift. I had to change my project in the middle of quest. And so I decided I would make art pieces for my same 3 volunteers and myself, symbolizing our unique families. Pock Percy. He's half English and half Scottish, and he grew up in Durham, England. The background of his art piece is a place he visited frequently in his childhood called Lacranza, and his tree is an oak tree like the one that everyone climbed in his town. When he was a kid, him and his siblings had mugs with animals on them, and his was a puffin. So that's why there's a puffin there. Ibu Esther. Ibu Esther is half from Utah, America, like me, and half from Zimbabwe, Africa. Her father's side of the art piece is a baobab tree with a starry night sky and cheetahs at the foot of the tree because her sisters ran track. On her mother's side of the art piece, it's a blue sky with white puffy clouds, and there's the tree and the bunnies beneath it represent her grandparents' backyard. Jazz. Jazz is from USA and has a wide variety of backgrounds. Her tree is a weeping willow, and she has many animals in her art piece, such as jaguars, chameleons, cats, a dog, a parrot, and a hedgehog. This is my art piece. The side with the shining sun, blue sky, mountains, and the dog is symbolizing my mother's side. And the burning, falling branches, night sky, desert ground, and one crow sitting on a burning branch symbolizes my father's side. I wasn't able to finish my 3 volunteers' art pieces, but I plan to continue working on them. I'd like to thank all my mentor teachers for helping me throughout the process. I would have given up without them. To my mom for always being there for me. To my friend Sophia for giving me my computer. Without it, I wouldn't have been able to do Quest or any schoolwork. To my volunteers for being a part of my project. My grandma for trying to collect the family documents. And the family of my volunteers for doing the same. Also, my fellow 8th graders for being my emotional support. As Bob Marley once said, if you know your history, then you know where you're coming from. Then you wouldn't have to ask me, who the heck do I think I am? So after everything I've said today, I'll ask you again, who do you think you are? Thank you.